The alien mother and the cold crowd. The sky was dark above the alien market. Heavy gray clouds moved slowly, and a cold wind cut through the crowd. Strange lights flickered on metal walls. Traders shouted in many languages. Machines buzzed. Creatures of all kinds walked fast, ignoring anything that slowed them down. Kari walked slowly, holding her child close to her chest. Her arms were thin. Her body shook. Her feet were bare and bleeding. Her child didn't cry anymore. He was too weak for that. Just a faint breath and a soft, slow heartbeat. She looked at every face that passed her. Blue faces, red eyes, tall horns, metal arms. But no one looked back. "Please," Kari whispered. "Food. I will work." No one stopped. A tall alien in armor walked past her and kicked over a bowl she had placed on the ground. Empty, of course. No one had dropped even a scrap in it. Kari fell to her knees. Her child's head hung against her shoulder. His skin had lost color. He was only 3 solar cycles old, too young to suffer like this. Her people had been chased from their homes, called unfit, called broken. No planet wanted them. Not even the Empire. They were trash. Kari raised her head. Her lips were dry. Her voice cracked. "Someone. Anyone. My child is hungry." A few aliens laughed. One even took a picture of her and walked away. Kari lowered her head. Her knees hit the cold stone again. Her body gave up. The market kept moving around her like she didn't exist. Her child's breath slowed more. Bread, fire, and a promise. The fire crackled softly in the corner of the metal room. Its weak orange light flickered across Kari's face as she sat close to it, wrapping her arms tightly around her child. He was asleep, curled against her chest like a small creature trying to hide from the world. Her thin fingers stroked his back. Slow and careful. Every few seconds she checked to see if he was still breathing. He was, for now, but the food was almost gone, and the human had not come back. It had been hours since he left. Kari sat in silence, her ears tuned to every distant sound. Footsteps, voices, engines. Every noise outside made her heart jump. Would he return? Or had he left her here just like everyone else? Then she saw the note. It was tucked under a can of water near the fire. She hadn't noticed it before. The writing was shaky but clear. "Don't leave, I will come back. Trust me." Kari stared at those words. Trust me. Those 2 words were heavy. Too heavy. She had trusted before, and each time, her trust had been broken. Her tribe had promised safety. The Empire had promised protection. Traders had promised work. And every time it ended the same, with her child starving in her arms. So why? Why was she waiting now? Because the fire was still warm, and her son was still breathing. Outside, in the frozen streets of the alien market, Darren walked fast, keeping his head down. His boots made soft taps on the steel ground. He carried a small bag under his coat, filled with supplies stolen from a military camp 2 zones away. He hated stealing. But tonight, he had no choice. He had given away everything he had. His food, his shelter, even his last water packet. And now he had broken the one rule of this place: do not help the unwanted. The city was run by the Dominars, rich, powerful aliens who ruled with greed. Helping beggars, feeding the weak, giving hope to outcasts. These things were forbidden. Kindness was seen as weakness. Weakness was punished. But Darren was no stranger to pain. He had been beaten, mocked, imprisoned, and forgotten. But he had never let it change one thing. He refused to become like them. He still remembered the face of the woman who helped him when he first crash-landed here. She was an alien elder, nameless, faceless now in his memory. But her voice stayed with him. Don't become what they want you to be. Stay human. That voice guided his steps tonight. Inside the small storage room, Kari finally gave in to sleep. She hadn't slept properly in days. Her body gave up. Her eyes closed. The fire was low, but it still gave warmth. Until a loud bang at the door woke her. She sat up instantly, clutching her child. His eyes opened too, scared. Bang, bang, bang. Kari covered her son's mouth and crawled to the corner, hiding in the shadows. Her heart pounded in her ears. A voice growled outside. "We know you're in there, human. Come out." She froze. It wasn't the human's voice. It was a soldier. Maybe two. Maybe more. She looked around. No weapons. Nothing to defend herself. Her child whimpered. She whispered in his ear to be quiet, to be strong. Bang! The lock broke. The door creaked open slowly, but no one stepped inside. Instead, something rolled in. Kari's eyes widened. It was a scanner orb, a floating eye. It glowed red and searched the room. She covered her son with her body. Then, boom, a flash of light. Sparks flew from the scanner. It dropped to the ground and shattered. Outside, someone cursed. Another voice shouted, "He's nearby!" Kari didn't know what just happened. Then, Darren burst through the back wall. He was bleeding, limping, carrying a stolen plasma cutter. "We need to go. Now." He grabbed her hand. Kari didn't question him. She held her child and followed. They ran through the tunnels behind the market. Alarms rang above them. Patrols shouted orders. Red lights flashed in the distance. "What did you do?" Kari whispered as they ran. "I stole from the wrong warehouse," Darren replied, panting. "They tracked me here." "Then why come back?" He stopped, turned to her. His face was serious. "Because you're not trash," he said. "And your son deserves a chance." Kari stared at him. Her eyes burned. No one had ever said those words to her before, not once. They kept running. But now, Kari didn't run with fear. She ran with fire in her chest. They reached a hidden supply lift at the edge of the city wall. Darren typed in a stolen code. The door opened, revealing a tunnel that led to the lower zones, lawless areas outside the Dominar's control. "It's not safe," Darren warned, "but they won't find us down there." Kari nodded. She stepped inside. But before Darren followed, he turned back and looked up at the night sky. "This place is broken," he said under his breath. "But maybe saving one life can start to fix it." He stepped into the dark, and the door closed behind them. Then, a shadow, a new shape stood in front of her. 2 legs, rough boots, simple pants, no armor, a pack on his back. His face wasn't like the others. He was human. Humans didn't come to this part of the galaxy often. They were seen as weak, foolish, useless. The human didn't speak right away. He knelt down slowly. Kari didn't even have the strength to move. She just looked up at him. His eyes were tired. He had a scar on his cheek and dust on his jacket. He opened his pack and pulled out a small packet of dried food. He broke it in half and gave her a piece. Her hands trembled. She took it. Then he gave her a small water bottle. "Give him this," he said, his voice calm. Kari fed her child with shaking fingers. The child moved his lips, drank a few drops. A small sound escaped his throat. It was hope. The human looked around. Some aliens were watching now. Some whispered. Helping the weak was not welcome here. "Can you walk?" he asked her. Kari nodded, even though she was not sure. "Come with me. Not safe here." She stood slowly. Her legs nearly gave out, but she held her child close and followed the human through the crowd. No one stopped them, but the air felt colder. Kari felt like many eyes were watching. They walked through back alleys, past leaking pipes and broken lights. Finally, they reached an old storage room behind a closed shop. The human opened the metal door. Inside was a small space with a blanket, a small heater, and some food cans. "You stay here tonight," he said. "I'll be back." Kari tried to speak, but no words came. She just nodded, eyes wide with disbelief. He turned to go. "Why?" she asked, voice barely more than a breath. "Why help me?" He looked back. His eyes were distant. "Someone helped me once," he said. "Now it's my turn." He left and closed the door gently behind him. Kari sat down with her child on the blanket. The heater buzzed quietly. Warmth touched her skin for the first time in days. Her child slept. For the first time in days, he slept. Kari touched her lips. She didn't know if she was crying or just remembering how to feel again. But outside, in the cold night, trouble was moving. Someone had seen the human. And in this part of the galaxy, kindness was not allowed. Chased by steel, hunted for kindness, the tunnel stank of rust and fear. Metal walls sweated moisture from old pipes. The floor was sticky in places. Deep under the market, there was no law here, only shadows and the things that hid in them. Darren walked ahead, one hand gripping a broken pipe he had turned into a weapon. Kari followed, holding her son tight in a sling against her chest. He was quiet, but his breathing had grown faster. "He's burning," Kari said, touching the boy's forehead. Darren turned, his eyes hard. "We'll find a place to rest soon. Just a little farther." She nodded. She didn't ask how much. Farther. She didn't ask if he was sure. She already knew the truth. He wasn't, but he was still trying, and so was she. Behind them, the scanners were coming. The Dominars had sent out steel crawlers, spider-like robots with heat sensors, stun, darts, and buzzsaws. They didn't speak. They didn't ask questions. They just hunted, and they never stopped. Two patrolled the upper tunnels now, scanning for human DNA, biosigns of the unwanted, or traces of stolen goods. One found a droplet of blood, Darren's, from where he had limped earlier. It scanned. Ping.match. Orders flashed on its screen. Eliminate. And so, the hunt began. Kari's legs were shaking. She had walked for hours. Days ago, she could barely stand. Now she was deep in the underground, running for her life with a child in her arms. Her thoughts were slow and heavy, but her heart refused to stop. Her son moved slightly in her arms, whispering something in their old tongue, words she didn't understand. Strange words. Not his. His skin glowed faintly again, just like the day before. She looked at Darren. "He's changing." Darren didn't respond, but his eyes narrowed. He had seen the glow too, and he had heard stories, rumors whispered in the underground, about a life bond between humans and certain alien children born during cosmic storms. They were rare, they were powerful, and they were feared. Darren said nothing, but his hand tightened on the pipe. A sound behind them. Click, click, scree. Kari froze. "What is that?" she whispered. Darren spun around. He listened. Footsteps? No. Claws. Clicking claws. Cold metal on steel. "Go," he said. "Run." They ran through the dark corridor, turned left, then ducked under a collapsing platform. Kari's foot hit something sharp. She didn't stop. Darren helped her up, pulled her through. The steel crawler reached the corner. Its red eye glowed. It saw them. Its legs moved fast, clack, 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 like knives tapping stone. Faster. Darren yelled. A hiss. A dart flew. Kari screamed. But the dart missed, stuck in the wall beside them. They reached a dead end. No, 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 no. Darren slammed his fist against the metal. Behind them, the sound of metal legs grew louder, closer. Kari pressed her son to her chest. "Leave me," she whispered. "Save yourself." Darren turned to her slowly. His eyes were wild, but full of something she didn't understand. He didn't speak. He just stepped in front of her. The crawler arrived, red eye scanning. Buzzsaw ready. "You want me?" Darren shouted. "Come and get me!" He rushed the machine, swinging his pipe. The crawler fired another dart. Darren ducked and struck the eye. Sparks flew. The crawler reeled, then launched a blade. The blade cut his arm. He screamed, but he didn't fall. Instead, he grabbed the blade with his bare hand and jammed it back into the crawler's gears. The crawler twitched, then exploded in light. Kari shielded her child from the sparks. Silence. Darren dropped to one knee. Blood poured from his arm. Kari rushed to him, pulled fabric from her dress and wrapped it tight. He laughed bitterly. 1 down, 10 more to go. You're mad, she whispered. No, he said, wincing. I'm human. They found shelter in an old freight pod. Broken, dusty, but sealed. Kari laid her son on a pile of cloth. His skin glowed again, brighter now. His chest pulsed with strange light. Darren, she said, he's not just sick. Darren nodded slowly. He's reacting to something. Maybe the planet, maybe us. Will he die? Darren didn't answer. Instead, he stood up, looked out. The window slit far away. More red eyes moved in the dark. They're still coming, he whispered. Kari looked down at her son. Why is he glowing? Her child opened his eyes and whispered in a strange voice. Not his voice. Not a child's voice. The human must not die. Kari's breath stopped. Darren froze. What? Did he say? He spoke in a language I've never heard. Kari said. But I understood it. The boy closed his eyes again. Outside, another crawler hissed. Darren held the pipe. Kari held her child, and something unseen moved in the boy's chest. Light that pulsed with the rhythm of 2 hearts, a planet without mercy. The storm above the planet had no voice, but its silence screamed louder than thunder. Gray clouds turned black. Acid winds swept across the hills of broken metal and shattered stone. Deep in the ruins, hidden beneath a collapsed freight tunnel, Darren lay unconscious. His body was cold. His blood had soaked through the bandage. Kari sat beside him, holding her son close, watching the man who had saved them again and again, now bleeding to death. Please, she whispered. You can't leave now. But he didn't move. His face was pale, his breathing slow. Outside, the world hunted them. Inside, the only one who had shown them kindness was slipping away. Kari's child sat up. His eyes were open, but they were no longer a child's eyes. They glowed with soft gold. His skin pulsed like light beneath water. Kari touched his face gently. What's happening to you? She asked. He placed one small hand on Darren's chest, and then something changed. A glow passed from the boy's palm into the human's body. Soft at first, then brighter. Kari pulled back, afraid. Darren's body arched. His eyes opened wide. He gasped, then fell still again. But the bleeding had stopped. His chest moved steady again. Kari stared at her child. He looked back at her. This time, his voice was his own. Mama, he whispered. The man. He belongs to the light now. Kari blinked. What do you mean? He didn't answer. He simply curled into her arms and fell asleep. Hours passed. Darren woke slowly. The pain in his arm was gone. He looked down. The wound was sealed, scarred, but closed. He sat up, blinking. Kari sat across from him, silent, her eyes full of questions. What happened? He asked. She pointed at her son. He healed you. Darren looked at the boy, sleeping peacefully. That's impossible. Not anymore, she whispered. But peace never lasted long on this planet. Not for the broken, not for the hunted, and not for a human who had crossed the Dominars. Above them, the clouds parted. From the sky, black ships descended, silent, sharp, shaped like daggers. Each one carried soldiers with orders. Find the human. Retrieve the child. Kill the mother if she resists. But none of them knew what was truly sleeping in the child's heart. Kari and Darren moved again at nightfall. They couldn't stay. Too many eyes. Too much blood behind them. They moved across a wasteland filled with crusted bones of old machines. Kari's feet bled again. Darren carried the child now, who rested calmly in his arms. We need to find cover before night freezes us solid, Darren said. Kari nodded, but her voice was low. He's changing every hour. I don't understand it. Maybe it's the planet, Darren said. This place. It's alive in ways we don't understand. Or maybe, Kari whispered, he was never meant to die like the rest of us. Darren looked at her. Something about her voice felt different. Stronger. Not the woman who had begged in the market. This was someone else now. Someone awakening. They found a cave under a jagged cliff. Inside, warm air drifted from cracks in the stone. They made a fire. The boy slept between them. Outside, wolves of metal and frost moved under the black sky. Inside, the three of them huddled close. Kari stared into the fire. "Why do you help us?" she asked again. "You had nothing. Now you could die because of us." Darren looked at her. "Maybe I was already dying," he said. "But helping you, it made me feel alive again." Kari's lips trembled. Then for the first time she smiled, small, sad, but real. "You're not like the others," she said. "Neither are you," he answered. Then silence. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of two souls, too tired to speak, but not yet ready to sleep. In the middle of the night, the child sat up, his eyes open again. He looked at the fire, then whispered, "They're coming." Kari woke instantly. "Who?" The child pointed at the mouth of the cave, and then the first beam of red light flashed through the rocks. "Get down," Darren shouted. A plasma bolt burned the stone near them. Soldiers in black suits dropped from the cliffs. Kari grabbed her child. Darren stood with his pipe. "Run!" he shouted. Kari turned to run, but stopped. The child stood in front of her now, his eyes glowing like the stars. His voice echoed, not loud but deep. "Stop." And the soldiers froze in place. Not by choice, their bodies locked, their weapons dropped. Darren stared. Kari covered her mouth. The child looked up at the human. "They wanted to take me," he said. "But you gave me shelter. You gave me warmth, and I am not just a child anymore." The soldiers screamed, then fell unconscious. The glow faded. The child fell into Kari's arms again, limp but breathing. Darren rushed over. "What was that?" Kari looked at her son with tears in her eyes. "I don't know," she said. But deep in her heart, something told her the truth. He wasn't just her child anymore. He was something more, and the galaxy would come for him again. The child who should have died. The sky cracked open with light. The sun, if it could be called that, rose slowly over the wastelands. Its glow weak, pale, barely warming the dust-covered ground. Kari stood at the edge of a cliff, holding her child. The wind pulled at her thin clothes. Below her, broken machines lay half-buried in sand, like bones of giants from an old war. Darren stood beside her. His wounds were healing faster than normal. He didn't say it out loud, but he knew. It wasn't natural. It was the boy. Kari held her child tighter. He was silent, sleeping again, but his small chest gave off a soft golden pulse with each breath. Not light, not heat. Something else. Something ancient. Something powerful. And maybe something dangerous. They had escaped the black-suited soldiers, again, but the galaxy was starting to notice. A whisper passed through the outer systems. A child who should have died. Didn't, and with each passing hour that whisper grew louder. A bounty was placed, not on Darren, not on Kayari, on the child, alive, not harmed, no questions. Bounty hunters stirred in deep space. Empires sent agents to watch. Pirates began searching ruin zones. And in the heart of a dying star system, a forgotten priesthood woke from their long sleep. "The child walks among the lost," one of them said. "Then he must be tested," said another. Deep underground, in a hidden shelter far from the cities, Darren watched over the fire as Kayari checked her child's breathing. "He sleeps too much," she said. "He saves his strength," Darren replied. "For what?" she asked, her voice low. "He's just a child. He should be laughing, playing, not glowing like a weapon." Darren nodded slowly. "But he's not just your child anymore, Kari. He's something more." Kari turned to him, her eyes full of fear. "Do you think he'll still be my son when this is over?" Darren didn't answer, because he didn't know. The next night, the child woke suddenly. He didn't scream. He didn't cry. He just sat up, and spoke in a voice that didn't belong to a child. They are coming, and I must go. Kari's heart stopped. No, she whispered. You're not ready. The boy looked at her, his eyes glowing gold. But when he spoke again, it was in his normal voice. Small, tired, scared. Mama, they call to me. They know I can feel them. Kari hugged him close. You're not leaving me. Darren stepped forward. We go together. All of us. The boy nodded, and so they moved again. This time toward the place the boy had seen in his dreams, a city hidden under the ground, a place where the unwanted once gathered, a place where the child said something waited for them. The city had no name. It had no lights, no open gates, no welcome signs, just a sealed door hidden beneath a cracked mountain of scrap metal. They stood in front of it, breathless. This is it, the child said. But they won't open the door for me. Darren frowned. Then how? Do we get in? The boy reached for his hand. You have to bleed. Kari gasped. What? But Darren didn't flinch. He took a knife from his belt, cut a small line across his palm, and pressed it to the metal. A low hum began. Symbols lit, up on the wall, ancient, not from any empire. Then the door opened, and a voice spoke from the dark beyond. Welcome, bonded one. The city was alive with strange lights. Not technology, but something organic. Pulses moved through the walls like veins. The air was thick with warmth and memory. A group of hooded figures met them, not soldiers, not priests, not enemies. They bowed to the child. Then one of them looked at Darren and said, You have been marked by the life bond, and now you carry the fate of more than just this world. Kari stepped forward. What are you talking about? He's just a boy. No, the voice answered. He is the key. Another figure stepped forward and touched the child's forehead. And he must choose who lives and who dies. The room fell silent. Kari's chest tightened. You want him to kill people? She said, angry now. He's a child. We want him to awaken, the figure said. He holds the code that can change the path of the broken. Traces. He can rewrite the laws that control the life gates. Darren looked confused. Life gates. The figure pointed at a glowing map on the wall. Thousands of worlds, each locked behind laws written by the Dominars, each race labeled useful, strong, weak, trash. Your child can break the code. He can give life to those cast aside. Kari stepped back, holding her son. He didn't ask for this, she said. No, the voice replied, but he was chosen, and now so are you. That night, as the boy slept, Kari sat beside him, tears in her eyes. Darren sat nearby, his pipe beside him, always ready. I don't want him to be some chosen savior, she whispered. I just want my son. Darren looked at the boy, then at her. Then we fight for that, he said. Not for what they want, but for what he wants. Outside the city, in the shadows of the cliffs, ships began landing. Mercenaries, hunters, priests. Everyone wanted the boy now. But inside, for the first time, Kari no longer felt weak. She would not kneel again. She would stand. And if the galaxy wanted war, they would find one mother and one human ready to burn everything down. A refuge of the broken, the underground city was quiet. But it was not peaceful. Glowing, walls pulsed like veins under the surface, giving off soft golden light. The air was heavy, not just with dust but with silence. The kind of silence that holds secrets. Kari stood at a balcony carved into the side of a large chamber. Below, hundreds of aliens walked the streets. They were old, weak, scarred, forgotten by the galaxy. Some had no homes, some had no families, many had no names. But they all had something in common. They were broken, just like she had been. And this city, hidden under layers of stone and memory, was called Haven. But to Kari, something about it felt wrong. Too perfect, too calm, too quiet. Her Sun sat in the center of the sanctuary chamber, surrounded by hooded figures. They called themselves the Keepers of the Life Code. They said they protected the ancient energy that flowed through forgotten races, energy that could unlock the gates of rebirth and freedom. They believed her child carried that power, but now they wanted to test it. Darren stood in the shadows, watching every move. His hand never left the handle of his pipe weapon. He trusted no one. "What are they doing?" he asked one of the watchers. "Only awakening what's already inside," came the soft reply. "He's a child," Darren said, voice sharp. "Not anymore," the watcher said. Inside the chamber, the child's body began to glow brighter. His arms rose on their own. His eyes were wide but calm. Then a circle of light formed under him. Energy poured out of him like golden mist, forming symbols in the air. Codes, languages, maps. Kari rushed forward. "Stop it. He's not ready," but two guards blocked her. "Let it happen," one said. Kari's body shook with rage. "He is not your tool." From behind her, Darren grabbed the pipe. "Let her pass," he said quietly. The guards turned. They saw the fire in the humans' eyes and they stepped back. Kari ran to her son and grabbed his hands. "Look at me," she said. "Come back." His glow flickered. "Mama, I can feel everything," he whispered. "So many voices. So much pain." "Then stop," she begged. "Come back to me. Don't let them take you." He blinked. And then the light vanished. The chamber went dark. A moment later, the keepers began to panic. "You interrupted the link," one shouted. "He broke the connection," another cried. "He wasn't supposed to stop." Kari held her son close, stepping back toward Darren. The boy looked up at her. "I saw a door," he said softly. "But there was something behind it. Something watching." Darren stepped forward. "Something watching?" The boy nodded. It smiled, but not like a friend. Later that night, Kari and Darren sat in a small room near the top level of Haven. The boy slept peacefully again. Outside, the lights of the city dimmed. "They're hiding something," Darren said. "I feel it too," Kari whispered. "They talk about freedom, rebirth, unlocking life, but none of them smile, none of them play. It's like they've forgotten how to live. Or they never wanted to," Darren added. He looked down at his hands. His fingers were shaking. "Kari, what if they don't want to save him? What if they want to use him?" She closed her eyes. "Then they'll learn what a mother can become." The next day, the High Keeper called them to the temple. A large crowd gathered. Aliens of all shapes and races. All silent. All watching. "Today," the High Keeper said, "we complete the ceremony. The child will unlock the path for all of us." Kari stepped forward. "He's not ready." "He is more ready than any of us," the Keeper replied. "He carries what no other being has, both the seed of the old and the blood of the new. The gate must open." Darren stepped beside her. "And if we say no?" The Keeper smiled. "Then we take him." Guards surrounded them. Kari held her child close. Darren raised the pipe. The High Keeper lifted his hand, and a strange blue light pushed them all back. Kari hit the wall hard. Darren fell beside her, gasping. They reached for the child, but the boy suddenly floated into the air again. His eyes glowed. But this time, the light turned red. Not gold, not warm. Cold, angry, powerful. And then, the boy spoke. But his voice was not his own. "You want to use me?" The ground shook. "You think I belong to you?" The walls cracked. "I was never meant to serve." A blast of energy exploded from the child's body, throwing the Keepers back. Kari crawled to him, screaming, "Please, come back to me." His body trembled in the air. His light flickered, gold again, then silver, then soft blue, and slowly, he floated down into her arms. She held him tight, crying. The city was in ruins. The Keepers were scattered, and from the cracks in the ceiling, Light from the surface shone down for the first time in 100 years. Later, as they walked out of the broken temple, Darren whispered, "Haven wasn't a refuge, it was a cage." Kari nodded. "Then we break the rest of the cages." And the child, now fully awake, said one word. The human who changed everything. The sun had never risen so high. For years it had hidden behind dust clouds, storms, and sorrow. But now, the light broke through, shining down on the ruined walls of Haven and the three figures walking out from its shattered gates. Kari, her child, and the human who had refused to walk away. The galaxy was waiting for them now. Ships circled, in the skies above. Drones tracked every step they took. Soldiers in dark armor closed in from every direction, but none of them knew the truth. They were too late. Kari's child walked calmly, barefoot, his small hands glowing faint blue. His eyes were bright, unblinking. He spoke softly as they walked. They feared the weak, so they crushed them. They feared the poor, so they erased them. They feared the different, so they caged them. Kari looked down at him, her voice gentle. "What do you feel now, my son?" He looked up at her. "I feel choice, and pain, and love." Kari held his hand tighter. "Then choose love." Above them, the Dominar's warships locked onto their location. Inside one of the command rooms, an officer shouted, "The human is still with them," another voice growled. "Target him first, he's the weakness." But they didn't understand. They never had. Darren looked up at the sky. He saw the ships. He saw the blinking red lights. He knew what was coming. "They're going to fire," he said quietly. Kari looked at him. "Then we move." "No," Darren said. "You move, I stay." Kari's eyes widened. "What?" "They're focused on me. They think I'm the problem. I'm the distraction." "No," she whispered. "You're the reason we're still alive." Darren smiled, softly. "Then let me do what I do best. Give you one more chance." He stepped forward, placing his body between them and the sky. A voice boomed from above. "Step forward, human. Surrender now, and we will spare the others." Darren laughed. "You lie as easily as you kill." A countdown began. 5. Kari ran forward, but the boy stopped her. "He's not afraid," the child said. 4. He's never been afraid. 3. Because he knows what he is. 2. He is not a weapon. 1. He is hope. A white beam shot from the sky. Darren closed his eyes. But before the blast could reach him, the child raised his hand, and everything stopped. Not slowed. Stopped. The beam froze in the air like glass. Ships in the sky hung motionless. Soldiers mid-step stood like statues. Kari looked around in shock. What did you do?" Her son turned to her, glowing brighter than ever before. "I made them see what they've become then." He walked to Darren, who stood frozen in place. The boy placed his hand over the human's heart and whispered, "I give back what you gave." A surge of light passed between them. Not fire, not energy. Memory. Kari saw it all in a flash. Darren, as a child, beaten and abandoned on a dead mining colony, his first kindness. A woman giving him bread and warmth, his years wandering. Helping strangers in silence, and finally, kneeling beside her in the market. Offering his last piece of food, tears fell down her face, because she finally understood. Darren hadn't just saved them. He had saved himself by choosing love, every time the world told him to choose hate. The child turned to the frozen sky, and with a wave of his hand, he set everything free. The ships, shattered, not in fire, but in peace. Their weapons melted into light. The soldiers dropped their guns and fell to their knees. The clouds parted, and for the first time in history, the Empire stood still, watching a child and a human. Later, in Yiu, a green field that had never existed before, Kari sat with her child on her lap. "Will they come again?" she asked. The boy shook his head. "Not like before. They remember now. They feel now. She looked around. Flowers grew. Creatures laughed. Strangers hugged each other. Broken ones stood tall. And at the edge of it all, Darren stood under a tree, watching the sunrise. Kari walked to him. "You changed everything," she said. He looked, at her, then at her son, then at the galaxy above, and smiled. "No," he said. "He did." The boy smiled. "We did. And for the first time, in a world once ruled by silence, there was peace."